I started
point.
first. She followed suit,
And a brother before you.
and a brother. We have
a
lots of
brother.
relatives that are in the Navy.
What, 3 generations of military?
We're the only females in our family, though.
What were the challenges of being a female in the Navy?
Being a female in the Navy, seriously, it was. It was interesting. You weren't quite accepted at first, depending on where you were and what your job was. But things evolved, and it became a great experience for me.
Even from this area, people didn't like the idea of women. I was making a big mistake, but once I got in, I loved it. And the biggest challenge being in the military is being a family person and having children, which women do. And the military doesn't think that children come in your sea bag. And when you're married to a service member,
True.
It's a balancing act, but it worked because I retired. And 4 children later, all of them in the military, and she had 2 in the military. It can be done.
It can be. I'm in Airedale, so that's not really the stereotype for the Navy because it's all seagoing. So I stepped out of the rim and decided I wanted to go with airplanes. And so I was an air crewman for a Victor Patrol Squadron PP-30 in Jacksonville, Florida. And what we did was we taught all the pilots, co-pilots, flight engineers, navigators, radiomen. We taught them all their stations. We did flight time with them. They had simulator flight time, but they also had air time. And then they went through us to get NATOPS qualified to actually become pilots for the service. So that's what I did. And I loved it. We tracked Russian submarines. That was what our job was to do. And I loved it. I wouldn't have traded that for anything in the world.
Tell the history.
The what?
Daddy.
Oh, well, my father also was Airedale. My first duty station was Patuxent River, Maryland. Turns out his first duty station was Patuxent River, Maryland, and I was in the same hangar that he was in when he was there. So it was pretty good for us. It was a nice memory for all of us to be able to hold on to.
I entered the Navy to be a religious program specialist, which was an RP. Went through extensive interviews, but when I got in, the Navy had other ideas. I became a cryptologist, which served me well down the road, because once I retired, that's what I went to work for in the federal government. But I cross-rated before I retired over to an RP, working with the chaplains as a chaplain's assistant. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And when I was in Cuba, it was a joint task force 180 during the Cuban Haitian refugee crisis in the 90s, if y'all remember that. And when it's a joint task force, it's all the services serve together. I mean, everybody's together, working together, doesn't matter your uniform. And I got to work with all the services chaplains. That was wonderful, and their chaplains assistants. Love that.
An event like this, what does this mean to you?
It means a lot to me. It means an awful lot to me. We were talking, and I don't want to harp on the fact that women aren't recognized, but it is still kind of a little bit of a stereotype that they don't really think. They always tend to think that it's the male gender, and there's a lot of females out there that have served and are still serving, and it's very important to them too, because they're giving their time and their life to help protect. And just like I just said earlier, whether you go to war or you're standing at the ready, you're just as important as everybody else. Absolutely. So, but this is wonderful. this is community, this is family. I don't know all these people, but we all have a connection because we were all serving and in at one time or another, and we're all joined. So this is another family for me.
In a day and age when the flag's not respected, your history's not respected, this tells me that our area is doing something to make sure that it's instilled about people that volunteer, because it takes a selfless person to volunteer now because there's not the draft. But then the ones that were drafted, these people that are here, none of them tried to dodge it. They did what their country asked them to do. And that's what makes us brothers and sisters, I think. That's the common bond for everybody that's here. But I don't regret any of it. Not at all. Go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.